Okay, we're going to talk about volume of prisms. So volume of rectangular prisms is the amount of space inside a three-dimensional figure is the volume of the figure. Volume is measured in cubic units because you're measuring the length times the width times the height. It is a three-dimensional figure, therefore it is in cubic units. The volume, or the capital V, of a rectangular prism is the product of the length, the width, and the height. So the formula is volume equals length times width times height. As you get into other areas of geometry, the formula changes. You can also multiply the area of the base by the height to find the volume. So volume is big B times H, where the big B is the area of the base. In this instance, the area of our base is a rectangle, and in order to find the area of a rectangle, you do length times width. That's why this formula, length times width, and this big B right here are the exact same. The only difference is here they're giving you all three dimensions, and here they're expecting you to know what the base of your figure is. So there's two methods in order to solve this. So this rectangular prism over here is a three-dimensional figure. It has a 10, it has a 5, and it has a 2. It is giving you three dimensions: the width, the length, and the height. There's two methods in order to solve this. So you can do length times width times height, in which case you just do 10 times 5, which is 50, times 2, which is 100. So your answer would be 100 feet cubed. Or you do area of the base times the height, in which case the base here is a rectangle with dimensions of 10 and 5. So 10 times 5 is 50, times the height of 2 gives you the 100. These are the exact same things. The only difference here is that they're listing all three dimensions, and here they're only listing 2 because the area of the base would just be that one extra dimension. So if you look at this example here, this is a 4 by 3 by 2. Area of the base times the height is your volume. If I substitute that big B for the area of the base, which is a rectangle, I use length times width in order to find the area of that base, and then I multiply it by the height. So I have 2 times 3 times 4. 2 times 3 is 6, times 4 is 24 feet cubed. Over here you'll notice that this is a cube. We know it's a cube because all three dimensions are the exact same. So in order to find the volume of this, it's going to be the exact same way. So we're going to use volume is area of the base times the height, or big BH. In this case, our base, I'm going to show you, is this little rectangle thing right here at the bottom. And the dimensions of this are 4 by 4. We know this because this dimension here would just slide down to here. So the volume is length times width times height. And in which case, it's just 4 cubed, which is 4 times 4 times 4. The area of the base is a square. It is a 4 by 4. So 4 times 4 is 16. Times the 4 of the height means that the volume is 54 inches cubed. And there's a little 3 there. It's not a 2. In area we use a 2, but in volume we use a 3 because it's a three-dimensional figure. We are multiplying 3 numbers together in order to get the volume. Let's try this one more time. So now we have a little bit longer rectangle, and we have a 5 by 5, which this is going to be our base. The base is right here. It is a square, and remember, a square can be a rectangle, but a rectangle cannot be a square. So if this is 5 by 5, so in order to find the area of just this guy right here, I'm going to shade it in so you can see that that's the base. We do 5 times 5, which is 25. Then we take that 25 and we multiply it by the height of the figure, which is 20. So volume is area of the base times the height. We just said that volume is length times width, or side times side, and then we're going to multiply it by the height. In this instance, our base is a 5 by 5, and then we're going to multiply it by the height of 20. We talked about it just a minute ago about that base being a square. And in order to find the area of a square, all you do is length times width or side times side. When we did that, we got 25. And then I'm going to take that 25 and multiply it by 20. So I know that 25 times 2 is 50. And then I'm going to put that 0 on the end that's attached to that 20 right there. And because it is volume, it is yards cubed. So there's going to be a little 3 above it. One last example. This one has to do with decimals, which makes our life a little bit harder. The volume is area of the base times the height. Or volume is length times width times height. In this instance, the base is over here on the edge, and you could use the side as the base, or you could use that little flat surface down here that you see. I'm just going to use this one because it makes things a little bit easier. The numbers are a little bit smaller. And if it was a multiple choice answer, you could actually round these things and then get an estimated volume and eliminate any of your extra choices that could have potentially been answers. So volume is 1.9 times 3.2 times the height of 5.4. All right, so now we're going to do 1.9 times 3.2. Remember, when you're multiplying by decimals, you have to take those decimal places out first and put them back in at the end. So in this instance, this problem has 2 decimal places. So my answer has to have 2 decimal places. 9 times 2 is 18, so I carry a 1. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 1 is 28. I am done with this 9. Because I'm done with this 9 and I'm moving over to the tens place, I'm going to put a 0 in the ones place down here. 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 3 is 3. Now all I have to do is add these up. 8 plus 0 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10, so I put a 0, carry a 1. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6. Remember the 2 decimal places that I took out here? I'm going to have to put them back in now. So I'm going to go 1, 2. So this is 6.08 times the height of 5.4. So now I'm going to take this number right here that we just got, which is the area of the base, and I'm going to multiply it by the height of the prism. I'm sorry, of the prism. Okay, so here we have 2 decimal places, and here we have 1 decimal place, for a grand total of 3 decimal places. So my answer has to have 3 decimal places in it. 4 times 8 is 32, so I'm going to put a 2 and carry a 3. 4 times 0 is 0, plus 3 is 3. 4 times 6 is 24. I am done with the 4, which is in the ones place. So I'm going to drop a 0 into the ones place and move over to the tens place. 5 times 8 is 40, so I'm going to put a 0 and I'm going to carry a 4. 5 times 0 is 0, plus 4 is 4. And 5 times 6 is 30. Now I'm going to add these together. 2 plus 0 is 2, 3 plus 0 is 3, 4 plus 4 is 8, 2 plus 0 is 2, and 3. My answer has to have 3 decimal places. So I start all the way to the right and I go 1, 2, 3. So my answer is going to be 32.832 centimeters cubed. So the volume of this prism is 32.832 centimeters cubed. And that's how you do volume of rectangular prisms.